Hey, what's up, everybody? We've got the Reds at the Pirates here for you, 1908, and it's going to be Mike Mitchell who leads this one off for Cincinnati. He rolls a 62 for a 12, and there's that little E again, and the roll is a 33, which is out of the range. That will be a little ground ball over to Swasina. He's going to do that there to the bag for the first out, and apologies here as I get this. There we go. There's the dice cam settings that hopefully be a little bit easier for you to see. We'll see. Sun is not quite in that real difficult place right now. It's a little bit later in the afternoon for us. Here's Rudy Hulswith now, who rolls a 25 for an 8. A little ground ball over to Honus Wagner at short, who makes the play, throws to first for the out. 2 away. John Kane rolls a 33 for an 8, and that's a fly ball over to center field. Becker has that one for the out. We go to the bottom of the first just like this. The Reds, we've seen a lot of lately, 2 and 13. This is not a great Reds team, and of course the Pirates are up there in the top of the National League, battling it out with Chicago. Honus Wagner rolls a 54 for a 45. Little E rolls a 34 out of the range. That's a fly ball over to right field. Mitchell has it for the first out. 1 away. Fred Clark now. Clark rolls a 14 for a 43, and the little E roll is a 35 out of the range. That's a fly ball over to Paskert and left for the second. And here's Tommy Leach. Leach rolls a 66 for a 0, and his next roll is a 25 for a 2. That's going to be a triple down to left center field, and that'll be at past Paskert and Kane and roll to the wall. And here comes Ed Abaticio now with Leach on a third. Abaticio rolls a 55 for an 8, and that's going to be a fly ball over to right field. Mitchell has that for the out. We go to the top of the second. John Gansel up there now for Cincinnati, and he rolls a 46 for a 29. That's a comebacker to Liefeld, who throws to first for the out, 1 away. Hans Lober now, and he rolls a 55 for an 8, and that's a ground ball again. Honus Wagner, who throws to first for the out, 2 on. Dode Paskert rolls a 45 for 14, and there's a walk. First walk given up by Liefeld, and his 13th of the season against 7 strikeouts, and that'll bring up Miller Huggins. Huggins rolls a 16 for a 26. That's going to be a ground ball over to the second baseman. Abaticio flips over to Wagner for the force out at second. We go to the bottom of the second, and it's going to be Owen Wilson. He rolls a 42 for a 32. It's a fly ball over to right field again to Mitchell, first out. And here's Harry Swasina, who rolls a 16 for a 26. That's a ground ball over to Huggins, who makes the play and throws to first for the second out. And here's Ed Phelps. Ed rolls a 15 for an 8, and that's a fly ball to center field. Kane has it for the out. We go to the top of the third. Fast-moving game so far. It'll be Ducky Pierce, and Pierce rolls a 22 for a 32 as a fly ball over to right field. And Wilson has that one for the first out. That's one of the worst hitters cards I've ever seen. 1 away, and here's Bob Spade. I might end up overplaying Pierce a little bit. Spade rolls a 32 for a 26. That's a ground ball over to second base. Abaticio has it, throws to first for the out. 2 away, Mike Mitchell. Mitchell rolls a 51 for a 9. That's going to be a single base hit, first hit of the game for the Reds. But, of course, knowing their luck, he has a little C, which gets him thrown out. We go to the bottom of the third inning, and it's Beals Becker. Rolls a 64 for a 29. That's a comebacker over to Spade, who throws to first for the out. 1 away, lefty Liefeld now. And he rolls a 62 for a 12. That's going to be a ground ball over to Gansel at first, who does it to the bag himself. 2 away, and here's Honus Wagner. Honus rolls a 53 for a 19, changed to a 21. That's going to be an error this time on the first baseman, Gansel. First error of the game, and Wagner now on at first base. We're going to do hit and run with Fred Clark. And Clark rolls a 42 for a 14. Wagner able to steal second successfully, and that'll put a runner on at second base with 2 outs, bottom of the third. Next roll is a 55 for an 8. That's going to be a comebacker again over to Spade, who throws to first for the out. We go to the top of the fourth. This time it's Rudy Hulswith, and Rudy rolls a 66 for a 0. And next roll is a 13 for a 6. That's going to be hit over to right center field. It's in there for a double for Hulswith, and that'll bring up Kane. John Kane, runner on at second base. Kane hitting 151. He's not going to be hitting third much longer. He will bunt. And his roll is a 64 for a 13. That's a foul strike. 1 strike on Kane. Bunts again. It's a 55 this time for an 8. That's a bunt back to Liefeld, the pitcher, who throws over to Abaticio, covering the bag for the out. 1 away. Infield will come in as John Gansel up there, and he's going to go ahead and swing away because Hulswith is slow. I don't want to bunt when he's slow. And the roll is a 13 for a 37, changed to a 36. That's a wild pitch on Liefeld, and that will allow the runner to score. And it's 1-0 Reds, just like that. Gansel still up there, rolls an 11 for a 0. And then rolls a 23 for a 6. That's a double over to right center field, and Gansel will end up being the runner on at second. Here is Hans Lobert. Runner on at second, 1 out, top of the fourth inning. Lobert rolls a 55 for an 8, and that's a comebacker to Liefeld, who has it, throws to first for the out, and Gansel moves up to third. 2 away, and here's Dode Paskert, Ooh, and he rolls an 11 for a 0, and the next roll is a 54 for a 7. That's a single to left field that'll score the runner. It's 2-0 Reds, 4th inning. Miller Huggins up there now, and he rolls a 41 for a 28. There's a ground ball finally to Wagner, who makes the play and throws to first for the out. 2-0 though Reds, and here comes Tommy Leach, and the way this has been going, that might be all the scoring we see. Tommy Leach rolls a 12 for a 24. Little E is up there. It's a 22, which is in the range. That's going to be an error on the first baseman, Gantel. I think that's his second error so far today. Let me know, because I've forgotten already. Here is Abaticio with Leach on at first. Hit and run on the way, and he rolls a 33 for a 7. That's a single to right field. Leach goes over to third base. That'll bring up Owen Wilson now with runners on at first and third. Infield will come in. Wilson hitting 264. And I'm trying to think, do we bunt with him or do we swing away? Let's take a quick look here at Swasina. I think we swing away here with Wilson and see what happens. And the rule is a 13-4-40, changed to 23. Game called because of rain. So I'm going to make an executive decision here. We're actually not going to call this game because of rain. We're going to keep playing here and not worry about that for the time being, because I don't want to have to deal with rescheduling. Try this again. I was wondering what would happen when that finally comes up. Wilson rolls a 41 for a 28. Infield was in, and that ends up being a single to left, and that'll score 1 and send Abaticio over to second, and that brings up Phelps here, Swasina here now. Nobody out, bottom of the 4th. Runners on at first and second, 2-1 now Reds, and Swasina is going to bunt. And the rule is a 51 for a 9. That's a bunt over the left side. It's Lobert who has it, throws over to Huggins, the second baseman, covering it first for the out. 1 away, and here comes Ed Phelps. Look at that card, huh? The catchers in this game are not exactly the best hitters I've ever seen. Ed Phelps rolls a 42 for a 22. That is kept as a 22. Infield was back. I should have had it in. This is my bad. That's going to be a ground ball over to Lobert, who has to make the play to first for the second out, and Wilson moves up. The run scores, though. It's a tie ball game. Now, if I had had the infield in, that would have been an error on Lobert, and it would have loaded the bases. So it is what it is. Here's Becker, and that happens sometimes when I play. I tend to forget that I probably should do this or that. Becker rolls a 45 for a 14 and walks. Runners on a first and third now for the Pirates, and here's lefty Liefeld. I guess you could blame it on playing too fast, though. What really happens is I forget that there's only 1 out, or I'm thinking only about the bunt or something like that, you know. Liefeld rolls a 31 for a 9. That's going to be a single over shortstop, and that'll put Becker up to second base. So how about that? Lefty Liefeld gets the hit to put the Pirates ahead 3-2. And here's Honus Wagner. Let's see if he's going to make Spade pay. Yep, he rolls a 34 for a 44. Here's a little E-roll. It's going to be a 61 out of the range. That's a fly ball over to center field. Kane has that one for the out, and we go to the top of the 5th inning. We straighten things out a little bit. It's Ducky Pierce. Ducky Pierce rolls an 11 for a 9 and gets a base hit. How about that? So Pierce gets the hit. That'll bring up Bob Spade. Of course, he's going to bunt 3-2 Pirates. Pierce, can he run the bases? The rolls a 23 for a 32 as a bunt to the left side, and it's going to be Leach who has it, throws to first for the out. Pierce moves up to second. Now, the thing about games like this, if you really are trying to imagine what happened, I don't know much about Ducky Pierce. I'm probably going to put my foot in my mouth. He'll probably end up having a long career that I had no idea about. The thing about games like this is that as bad as the player is as a runner, you have to assume he can do basic things, right? And so that's what you do. That's why you think, okay, well, he made it over to second base anyway. Maybe in some other game you'd have some sort of like, I don't know, some sort of like a system that gives you a whole bunch of different ranges or like specific ratings for runners. So a really bad one's going to really look bad. But this type of game, not so much. Mike Mitchell now, runner on his second, 1 out. Mitchell rolls a 22 for an 8, and that's a comeback over to Liefeld, who has to go to first. Pierce moves up to third. Good base running in his part. Rudy Holsworth now with the runner on a third base, but 2 outs. He rolls a 13 for a 14, and Liefeld gives up his second walk of the game, and that W always stings. John Kane up there now, and he rolls a 53 for a 17. That's changed to 22. And I don't know what's happened, but the game has frozen. So we'll wait a second, and we'll see if we can figure out what's going on. I see Holsworth's name has moved up to second. Have you ever played the old APBA basketball game? That's kind of what I think about when you have the little name cut out and you kind of move them up the court. And now we see what happened. That ends up being a balk called on a Liefeld, and that means that Holsworth moves up to second, and the run scores. 3-3 now the score on a balk. Imagine that. Kane's still up there, and he rolls a 46 for a 29, and that's the little ground ball over to the first baseman, Swasina, who flips over to Liefeld for the out, and we'll go to the bottom of the fifth. It's Fred Clark. You know that old copy pasta that goes over around Reddit from time to time about balking and what the rule is. Now, don't you all be balking up there and so on. That's what they told the pitcher Liefeld. Here's Clark, who rolls a 44 for an 8. That's going to be a single, but he's then caught stealing as Tommy Leach is up there, one away. Tommy Leach rolls a 56 for a 30. Fly ball over to left field. Pasquard has it for the out, 2 away. And Abaticio now rolls a 42 for a 22, changed to 21. That's going to be an error on Gansel, the first baseman. 3 errors on Cincinnati so far in this game. We're only halfway through. Owen Wilson rolls a 24 for a 13, and he'll strike out. We go to the top of the 6th. Who would have thought that the Reds would be in a good and close ball game at any point in time of this season? And here's John Gansel. He rolls a 16 for a 26. It's a ground ball over to Abaticio. Makes the play and throws to first for the out, 1 away. Hans Lobert up there now. And Hans rolls a 55 for an 8. That's a ground ball over to Honus Wagner. Makes the play and throws to first for the out, 2 down. Here's Dode Pasquard. He'll roll a 25 for an 11. That's a single, and he gets a stolen base out of that. That'll bring up Miller Huggins. Huggins up there. Miles away from managerial experience. Instead, he rolls a 23 for a 32. It's a fly ball over to Wilson in right field, and he has it for the out. We go to the bottom of the 6th. Harry Swasina now, and he rolls a 23 for a 32. It's a fly ball to Mitchell in right field. Once again, he has it for the out, 1 away. Ed Phelps rolls a 43 for a 29. Comebacker over to Spade, throws to first for the out, 2 gone. Beals Becker now rolls a 25 for an 8, and that's a single to left center field, and that'll bring up the pitcher Liefeld. Runner on a first base, 2 outs, bottom of the 6th. And he rolls a 13 for a 14, and he'll take his base on the walk, and that'll bring up Honus Wagner. Wagner with a chance to really blow this one open. And he does. Look at that roll, an 11 for a 2, and that is a home run to deep right field. And Wagner has done it. He has put the Pirates up 6-3, and he has blown this game wide open just like I told you he could. That'll bring up Fred Clark, and Spade is really sweating now. Clark rolls a 12 for a 25, but there is a little E roll, and this time it's a 42. Out of the range, that's a little ground ball over to the second baseman Huggins, who makes the play and throws to first for the out. We go to the top of the 7th inning, and it's Ducky Pierce up there, and he rolls a 15 for a 32 for a fly ball over to right field. Wilson has it for the out, 1 away. Bob Spade, the pitcher's up there, and I keep thinking, do I take him out? Do I leave him in this situation? Well, okay, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it because I might as well, because this is probably the last real chance that the Reds are going to get. And you never know, maybe they will get another one, but we're going to bring him out. Mike Morey is going to be the pinch hitter. This is not necessarily accurate to the period, but we're going to do it anyway. Why not? Morey rolls a 32 for a 26 as a ground ball to Abaticio at second, throws to first for the out, 2 gone, and Mike Mitchell up there rolls a 61 for a 27. That's a ground ball over to the third baseman Leach, who makes the play and throws to first for the out. We go to the bottom of the 7th, and it will be Leach leading off, and who's he going to be up against is the question. Tozer, or Weimer doesn't really have any non-starting appearances, so it's Tozer it is. There goes Tozer, and he Leach his first roll is a 55 for an 8. That's a base hit, and then he's caught trying to steal right afterwards. 1 out, and here's Abaticio, and he rolls a 16 for a 26. It's a ground ball over to Huggins. The second baseman makes the play and throws to first for the out, 2 out, and here's Chief Wilson. He rolls a 55 that I put in as a 5. 55 for an 8, and that's another single off of Tozer. That makes Wilson the runner on at first base. Second hit given up by Tozer so far. Next up is Swasina, who rolls a 62 for a 12. That's a little ground ball over to Huggins, who flips over to Holswit at the second base bag for the out. And we go to the top of the 8th inning, and that brings up Rudy Holswit. He rolls a 24 for a 13 and strikes out. 1 gone. Liefeld is finally starting to come into his own. Here's John Kane. Rolls a 21 for a 30. Fly ball over to left field. Clark has it for the out, 2 out. And here's Gansel. We'll have to re-roll that one. That was halfway. The roll is a 35 for a 9, and that's a single. But Gansel then is caught stealing because of the little C. Go to the bottom of the 8th inning, and it's Ed Phelps for the Pirates. And he rolls a 44 for an 8. That's a single to left center field, and that'll bring up Beals Becker. Becker, no need to bunt. He rolls a 51 for a 9, and that's going to be a ground ball over to Lobert at third. Makes the play and throws to first for the out. Phelps moves up a base. That'll bring up lefty Liefeld, and he rolls a 22 for a 7. That's a single to right. That'll score the runner. Liefeld now, that means he's 2 for 3 in this game with a couple of runs batted in, and that brings up, of course, Honus Wagner. Wagner rolls a 46 for a 13 and strikes out. Looks impressive doing it. 2 gone, 7-3 now Pirates. And Fred Clark's up there, rolls a 65 for a 35. That's a pop-up over to Pierce, the catcher, for the out. We go to the top of the ninth. It'll be Hans Lober leading things off, and he rolls a 33 for a 0. His next roll, 44 for a 2. So it's a triple from Lober. Of course, it doesn't matter. It's 7-3 ball game. You're going to have a lot of triples to come back. Dode Pasker rolls a 53 for a 15, changed to a 19, and that's going to be an error this time on Tommy Leach, the first error of the ballgame of the Pirates. Pasker reaches first, and the run scores at 7-4, and that'll bring up Miller Huggins. Huggins rolls a 53 for an 18, changed to 17. That's going to be a single to right field. That sends Pasker to third, and Huggins goes to second on the throw. Liefeld now is starting to sweat, and that'll bring up Ducky Pierce. There's no way in the world I'm going to let this guy hit again. And wouldn't surprise me if in real life this sort of thing happened. He is replaced by Larry McLean, one of the 2 catchers on the bench for the Reds. And McLean rolls a 33 for a 7. Oh, man, he gets a base hit, and that will score 2, I believe. Yes, that does. That scores 2. And that, all of a sudden, turns this into a 1-run ball game. This is the big, big comeback from the Reds of all teams. And so, at the top of the 9th inning, the Reds have scored 3, and that brings up Bill Tozer, the pitcher. And, of course, we're going to put in Admiral Schley in as a pinch hitter. What I was planning on doing all along, Liefeld is really, really struggling, giving up 3 runs here in the 9th inning, and I think I'm actually going to take him out. So let's see who we can find here. I'm looking again at the game started. We don't want to put anybody in who starts a lot of games. Harley Young, I think it is. Harley Young is going to be the relief pitcher. And so there's that runner on at second base, and we have a new pinch hitter and a new pitcher in there. Admiral Schley up there against Harley Young. Nobody out, top of the 9th inning. And Schley rolls a 42 for a 32. It's a fly ball over to right field, and that will be the first out. And so that experiment doesn't quite work. I'm probably going to put Schley in as the catcher. I'm thinking maybe. So now there is 1 out here in the top of the 9th inning. That brings up Mike Mitchell, and this game has turned really interesting in a hurry. Mitchell rolls a 56 for a 34. There is a little E roll, and the roll is a 65 out of the range, so that will be a high pop-up over to the second baseman. Abaticio has that one for the second out, and that means that there are 2 gone, and that will bring up the second hitter, who was Holswood, and we'll go ahead and change on over here. There we go, Rudy Holswood. There, we got this. This thing doesn't work. Cyrus, if you're watching it, this thing just doesn't work right. Holswood now with the runner in scoring position, but 2 outs, and are the Reds going to blow this one or not? And the roll's a 53 for an 18. That's going to be changed to 16, and that is going to be a single over to center field, and it's a big throw home from Becker, and he throws the runner out at the plate. And the Reds come just so close, but they don't get it. Final score here is the Pirates 7 and the Reds 6. Both teams with 11 hits, and I don't know what more the Reds could do because they got the base hit and the runner was thrown out of the plate at the very, very end of the game. This is a very, very amazing turn of events here in the bottom of the 9th inning. I mean, I thought nothing of it when Lobert hit that or in the top of the 9th inning. I thought nothing of it when Lober hit that triple, and then that error didn't really mean much because it's still a 3-run lead. But man, how things turned around quickly. Cincinnati comes up just short. They will go to 2-14. The Pirates will go to 11-5, and that was probably one of the more exciting finishes we've had so far in this replay. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll talk with you again tomorrow. Bye bye.